Toxic workplaces don't always announce themselves. Sometimes it starts slowly, a comment brushed aside, an inappropriate joke no one corrects, a behavior that goes unchecked, and then one day you realize, this place is shaping me and not in a good way. If you've ever felt the weight of walking into a workplace that drains you rather than strengthens you, today's episode will give you clarity, confidence, and language for what you've experienced and what healthy leadership actually requires, because every toxic workplace has patterns and every healthy leader learns from them. Let's dive in. Do you wish that you could lead your team in a way that honors and glorifies God? Are you struggling to overcome self-doubt as a leader and have a desire to be more confident in your role? Welcome to the Woman of Faith in Leadership podcast. I'm Rika, and for the last decade, I've experienced my fair share of managing challenging employees and teams in middle management leadership roles. I committed my leadership journey to God, and it changed everything. And I'm ready to share everything I've learned with you. Now, if you're ready to lead your team in a way that honors God, grab that notebook and pen, and don't forget your chai latte, and let's dive in. Before we go deeper, if your confidence took a hit in a toxic environment, or if you're leading in one right now and you're doubting your ability to navigate it, I want you to go to womanoffaithinleadership.com/blueprint to go and check out the Imposter Syndrome Blueprint. This will help you rebuild confidence, break fear-based leadership habits, and lead with steady, Christ-anchored strength, no matter what environment you're in. Toxic workplaces don't just hurt morale. They hurt confidence, they hurt clarity, they hurt emotional safety, they hurt identity. And for Christian women who normally lead with compassion, relational sensitivity, and integrity, toxic cultures can make you question, am I too sensitive? Am I the problem? Should I just put up with this? Maybe this is just leadership. Does every workplace feel like this, or is it un-Christ-like to say something? But here's the truth. You are not weak for being affected by toxicity. You are discerning. And when you understand the patterns of toxic culture, you stop blaming yourself and start seeing the environment for what it really is. Today, I'm going to share 5 lessons every Christian leader needs to understand about toxic workplaces, so you can lead with wisdom and not fear. These were things that I learned through multiple toxic workplaces that I worked at, and I want you to take some strategy from that, because there's always a lesson to learn, and there's always some strategy that you can implement in your leadership role to improve the things that you're struggling with. So lesson 1 is, what you tolerate is what you accept. Toxic culture thrives on silent permission. What you walk past, ignore, laugh off, absorb, or even excuse teaches people what is acceptable. This is a lesson that I had to learn. That's why I'm sharing it. Because you don't have to approve the behavior to allow it. Leaders don't have to tolerate gossip, disrespect, passive aggressiveness, manipulation, double standards, negativity, undermining, or even emotional dumping. When you stop tolerating what is harmful, you start shaping what is holy. Lesson 2 of what I've learned. Boundaries with staff are not optional. They're absolutely essential. In toxic cultures, boundaries feel confrontational. But in healthy cultures, boundaries feel normal. Boundaries protect your peace, your authority, your clarity, your workload, your emotional capacity, and your God-given assignment. Healthy leaders communicate what's okay, what's not okay, where the line is, and what happens if that line is crossed. Boundaries are not walls, they are guardrails. Lesson 3. Your onboarding process is your first line of cultural defense. Culture isn't taught in week 10, it's taught in hour 1. New staff should know what the culture is, what behaviors won't be tolerated, how communication works, what respect looks like, how conflict is handled, what accountability means, what emotional safety looks like. Because most toxic cultures don't actually start toxic. They become toxic because expectations were never clearly set. Onboarding shapes that. If you make it clear during your onboarding process what the culture is that they can expect and how a lack of if those expectations are not met, what the consequences or the accountability measures are, it's highly likely that you won't struggle with that person shaping toxic workplace culture. But the next lesson is something that I had to learn the tough way. Lesson 4, your current staff shape your new staff. So you can have the most amazing onboarding process, you can have all the things, but if your current staff are not on board with what's the expectation of your culture, they will shape your new staff. And this is one of the hardest lessons for leaders. Culture is carried by people, not posters. Your current staff will show new staff how people are treated, what's normal, what's ignored, what's rewarded, how conflict is handled, how feedback is given, how people speak behind closed doors. And if your current culture is unhealthy, new staff will also be unhealthy. They will adapt to survive, leave, or suffer. And leaders must shape the carrier of culture, not just the culture itself. So there are some things that you can implement to ensure that your current staff shape your new staff. And that would be to obviously work with your current staff in terms of the culture and then let them know that when new staff come on board, we show them the culture that we expect of them. Lesson 5, culture can change, but only with a process. This is again something that I have mentioned on the podcast previously. When I stepped into my executive leadership role, I had to put a process in place to change the toxic workplace culture. One of those processes including my leadership team in there because they were influential over my team. Toxic culture does not change through inspirational speeches, one PD session, one professional development session, or a new policy, or even hoping for the best. That's not going to happen, okay? However, it can change through consistent expectation setting, clear communication, firm boundaries, accountability, modeling, repetition, and patience. Culture change is slow, but it's absolutely possible when leaders are intentional about it. It takes courage to name what's broken, but it takes consistency to build what's healthy. If this episode is resonating with you, if you've seen yourself in these lessons, if toxic culture has made you question your value of your confidence, then it's time to take the next step. Go to womenoffaithinleadership.com/blueprint, where you'll find the imposter syndrome blueprint. This will help you rebuild the confidence that toxic culture stole, lead with clarity instead of fear, set boundaries without guilt, and show up with the emotional strength a healthy culture requires. You don't have to stay stuck in patterns of toxicity. The blueprint will help you step out of these. Toxic workplaces may leave marks, but they don't get to define your leadership. You are stronger, wiser, and more discerning because of what you've walked through. And God will use every part of that, not to harden you, but to strengthen you and to equip you to lead others into something healthier. You're not just surviving toxicity, you're breaking cycles, you're raising standards, you're shaping culture, and you're becoming a leader who leaves places better than you found them. Definitely go and listen to the previous episode where I also talked about leaving a legacy. What's the type of legacy that you want to leave behind? If you want to be the leader who came in and changed the culture, you've got some work to do. But it is actually possible. If you are willing to put in the work, put in the processes, work with your team, it is possible. I look forward to chatting with you in the next episode and hearing all about how you are changing your culture, how you are working with your team. DM me, message me, email me, and I look forward to chatting with you again in the next episode. Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts? It would mean so much to me to read your feedback. Also, it would really bless me big if you shared this episode with a fellow leader who might benefit from hearing today's message. And remember, put on the armor of God daily and walk by faith and not by sight. I'll meet you back on Monday for another episode.